Hello and welcome to the Me Financial Podcast. I am Michelle Moses, CFP and Realtor, your host, and I am here with Andy Woodward again. Thank you for being on the show, Andy.
You're welcome, Michelle. Nice to see you.
We are going to be talking about AI and how it's going to change the financial world, and I'm very excited about this topic. I'm just so excited. This could go in so many different ways, Andy. Andy is a software developer and architect working in financial technology, including banking and payment processing for more than 30 years. And I know I've introduced you to him before on other topics, and we just have so many topics that we want to talk about. So here we are going to talk about AI in the financial world.
It's fun that we're able to bring our actual conversations that you and I have all the time as actual
I know,
podcasts,
as podcasts.
We're always like, we should be recording this.
Yeah. We go to lunch and we're like, hey, what do you think about this? Or we talk about stocks or, whatever, or, what? Yes. And that's why we had the Fed conversation, is because that's what we kind of talk about, is interesting things like that. So,
for sure.
So anyway, thank you for joining us. And then let's hop right in, because I think this is a super exciting topic, and I cannot stop using AI. Like, I try to use it for almost everything that I have now. To just investigate it anyway. I mean, are you kind of like that right
For
now?
Sure.
Yeah. I mean,
use it probably a couple hours a day just to fiddle around with it.
Yeah. I mean, I try, and if I can't use it, so like I tried to use it yesterday, or at least ChatGPT, to look up, and I was like, hey, what are the maximum contribution limits for all the retirement plans? And I just wanted a little synopsis to copy and paste to send to somebody, so that I didn't have to type it all out. And it only went back to September 2001 or 2021. So I couldn't use it. But again, I'm just trying to use it for all kinds of things. I'm always like, oh, I wonder if this will work, or, if I could save some time using it.
For sure.
Is that kind of the way that you're doing it?
A little bit. I actually am using it for production things. Since I am a software developer, it's actually, I've gone from grasshopper to kung fu with this thing, because kind of the way I look at it is an analogy that I use when describing what's going on with AI right now. It's like having an intern. Mm-hmm. Granted, they can't go pick up your dry cleaning or go get you a coffee, at least not yet, but I'm sure that's coming. But at least with an
you're going to think it and it'll arrive.
Having interns in my business, I can actually parcel out tasks and go, all right, I've got this data structure, set me up the database for this, and then write me, the code all the way up to doing a basic web application with it. And I'm able to do all of that with ChatGPT.
And so if you do that, do you have to go back in and check all the lines of it? So you check every line? It's,
again, the same thing with it. Not necessarily every line. A lot of times I'll just pull it in and run it, and I'll go,
see if it runs.
I'll be darned, it actually works.
Yeah.
And most of the time it gets it right. Sometimes it embellishes on it, but then, based upon experience, I can go in there and optimize it or tweak it a little bit for my needs. But I think one of the interesting things about ChatGPT in particular, because everybody's familiar with Alexa and Siri at this point. Well, those, you ask it a question, it gives you an answer. It's not conversational, where with ChatGPT,
it's a lot more. Yes.
I can turn around and I can literally say, well, that web page is a little basic. Can you give me something that uses more fonts and more colors, and even give it a specific color and say, all right, align to a color palette based upon this color, and it'll revise it.
That's amazing. That is amazing. And I've used it for like my copy for my website and for different bios and things like that. I've just put it all in and said, hey, can you have this flow better? Can you make it sound better or read better or something like that? Yeah. And it just tweaks it just a little bit, and then it sounds perfect to me. So I think for marketing, it's huge. But we're here to talk about the financial world. So you're seeing it because you write programs for payments. So, different also, things talking to each other.
I write trading programs as well. And it's kind of interesting, just things that, actually close positions or something like that.
And how would you do that? Because you're trading in like a TD Ameritrade, right? And like in the back end or whatever. And so it tells you like what to put in.
Well, they like Ameritrade, for example, uses a product called Thinkorswim. And you can literally, Chat GPT is familiar with Thinkorswim. You could actually say, write me a think script is the name of their programming language that'll actually give me a chart based upon the RSI or the MACD crossover or things like that. And it'll actually give you the code that you can then paste into Thinkorswim. It also works in PineScript for TradingView is another one. That
Look at you. Wow. I had no idea. Okay. Yeah. Well, there's one application. That's fascinating.
And I think as more of these layers appear for doing other things, bond trading, even real estate, I think it just opens the door for a lot of these data sets to start being consumed a bit more and start doing more analytics.
Well, that's what I'm excited about is how it's going to analyze data and be able to see patterns, because I could see definitely in putting together portfolios or even market timing of different stocks and things, like it could put together all of the data for different, stocks and bonds and what the Fed is doing and even, how unemployment and spending is and put all of that together and see patterns and then be able to tell you, what a good portfolio would be.
Yeah, but I think it's if it does that for us as individuals, it's pretty much doing it for everybody. So
right, and then it becomes kind of a
we're back to ubiquitous. I think that's one of the reasons why, the advent of this with even computers and the internet and just the sheer amount of data that's available now that we're able to store more data and things like that. This is just the next projection of this, the next step. Because right now, it's like more than anything, can you, from a financial standpoint, beat the S&P 500? That's kind of the rule of thumb.
Right.
And if you're looking at your positions and going, all right, why aren't you beating the S&P 500? There must be other things that, like, you might want lower risk or something like that. I know there's a lot more to it. But because of then all of these things has been the rise of ETFs and index products because, I think the days of calling your broker saying, hey, I need to get you into this.
Right. It's kind of over.
It really is fading away.
Oh, absolutely. And then the ETFs, just so everybody knows how they work, a lot of times they will pick a particular portfolio, let's say it's all with gold producers. And it kind of sticks. It depends on the ETF, but they tend to stick to the same allocation. So it's just tracking those particular stocks that are in it. But then there's other ones that could change their allocation as time goes on. And,
and then there are some that are what are called buy right funds where they'll actually do some derivatives trading against the positions. They'll actually buy the positions and then sell calls against them and things like that. So I think as a lot of this technology grows with AI and everything, you're just going to see more funds.
Yeah. It's just gonna. Not that our world, the financial world, isn't already big enough, but it's probably going to expand it even more because you have all the derivatives and the futures and the options and things, and there's probably going to be extra things that people create from it. And I find it very exciting. I also find it very exciting just for my industry. I've always said that, with what I do, it's not that I stand out with how I pick things. It's more of like pick stocks and investments. It's more of how I put it all together and I help people put it all together. And I think it's really going to help people with their financial education and it's going to help I don't know about doing away with me, but I don't think that there's going to be a need for as many financial advisors out there because you're just going to be able to type it in and get some answers.
I think it's just going to be one more tool. For me, working on the technology side of things, it plays very well to the middle. Again, using the intern analogy, it's still one of those things. If you don't know what you actually want to request it, so a lot of people, if you gave them an intern, you'd say, "What would you do with an intern?" They'll be like, "I don't know."
Yeah, I don't know.
Where if you actually from a financial standpoint, can actually have it do specific research, but otherwise, just it's not there as far as just giving it a question. You just go, here's my bank account, make me some money and call me later.
Yeah, but I also think that you could put in like your whole portfolio and say, I want to retire in such and such years. Could you tell me, I could definitely see it going to that of, but you would still need the data to input it. How much are you going to spend in retirement? How much are you going to, or even today, what do you need?
I think there's still always going to be a need for the bespoke, if you will, which is somebody, so what this will allow people like you to do is work towards the ones that need more specialized.
Yeah.
Again, it's like, you're not going to be able to paint everything with one brush. So somebody that needs real estate exposure or, rolling in metals and everything like that. Not all these things are traded in the same way.
Yeah.
And then there's always going to be new things coming up. New products, 0-day expiration options, for example, are something that have just cropped up in the last year.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. That's very interesting.
Or the dailies, as they call them, like on the indexes and stuff like that. And they're becoming more and more prevalent. It wouldn't surprise me if they're on pretty much everything that's major. So there's just more and more trading, but there's also more and more people going, what do I do with this?
Yeah.
And then not doing anything with
it. Right. That's true. Yeah. We're kind of in data overload right now, I think. And so that's why I think AI is great, is because I feel like we're in data overload. We have so much data. I mean, look at all of our pictures, all of our, and so for AI to be able to go through all of that, it'll be very, very interesting. And so what are you seeing in like the payment processing world with AI? Like,
I think one of the use cases that's been around for a while now is fraud detection.
Oh, yeah.
It's able to do a much better job of determining when something's following an automated pattern, like it's a bot, or when it's able to spot outlier trends and things like that and determine that's pretty likely fraud. So a lot of fraud detection right now is in the payment
and it's
space.
More from like patterns, right?
Yeah. They're able to aggregate all of the information, since banks have access to your own trading information and things like that. And they're able to look at it. All right, this merchant really doesn't do, $1,500 transactions and things like that, and just sort of aggregate it and come up with a probability score and identify, they're probably not in Colorado buying a TV.
Right. Well, on the other side of that, though, wouldn't there also be bad actors using AI to commit fraud? I mean, what I mean? It's kind of, it all goes up together.
It's constant, but that's always been the case.
It's always the case.
The early adopters that are, on the fraud or the crime side of it are always trying to keep up
with the crime.
And then the white hats on the hacking side of it are always trying to keep that down. There's always it's constant.
Right. And every time I bring up AI, it's either someone is really excited about it or they're really kind of scared about it and they've heard all, it's going to take over and it's going to do all these things. And my reaction to that is just that's human nature, is that we have always thought that there's going to be Armageddon. I mean, since the time of, Jesus and all of that, I mean, there's thoughts of Armageddon and that we're going to be wiped out by something. And so to me, I just look at that's human nature. I'm very excited about AI and what it can do and the ease that it could bring, because it's almost like the internet has brought us up to the speed of, having to do all these things with social media. I guess if you have a business or you're running something, and that AI allows us to free up our time to do all of those things.
Well, and it also allows you to get into other areas that you may not have. Like I love the art side of it. Because,
so cool.
I'm an engineer. I'm not an artist per se at all.
But this makes you look good.
But I'm able to, if I can craft a prompt to Midjourney and stuff and tweak it a little bit and go, that's exactly what I was thinking.
Exactly, right?
For me to pick up a brush and everything like that to do it, there isn't any way I can do it. But if I can actually articulate what I'm thinking and then come
have
up with
that
some
art
sentences and the perspective and everything like that, it is a lot of fun. I can just sit there and that's like a big rabbit hole.
And so, and it doesn't give you the, because if you were to learn painting, between what's in your head and what you can actually do is so far apart, right? Versus with AI, it's like, oh, that's it.
Well, and then it'll spark more ideas. Some of it, like you were saying at the beginning, it's fun to go to Chat GPT and just riff on ideas.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Anything I'm doing, I just go in there and I try it, and I'm like, that's not going to work right.
It comes up with some neat things.
Yeah, it really does.
To jog the memory and things like that. So that's one of the reasons why I agree with you. I'm very excited about AI, just more from the standpoint of, being able to do more with getting your own thoughts out there and things like that, and not struggling with the tool.
And also not needing money to pay somebody to make it happen. Yeah. So, and I think that's huge especially when you have your own business, all of these little things, you're choosing what to pay for. And if there's just some other things that you don't have to pay for, it's even better. And I kind of do want to talk about, so we talked about like trading and finances and stuff, but the real estate market, I think, or any of this paperwork stuff. I mean, I am drowning in paperwork sometimes. And so I think the real estate world is like that too. And so I could absolutely see, doing some research on title, that AI could do a lot of that, and also uncover things that weren't being uncovered before.
Or given a number of, one I was thinking of is given a number of properties in a particular area, which one is the better, as far as all the different factors.
Oh, for research and all of that.
Proximity to schools, walking distance, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
To be able to just sort of weed through all of those choices and quickly come up with likely.
Well, and I don't think people realize that when you're they do realize they're being tracked, but, when people, so you get some text sometimes, hey, you want to sell your house, stuff like that. When you go to a title company, they have access, they don't have access to the data, but they have access to the programs to where it says who is going to be selling recently, or who will be selling soon. And some of that is from people talking about buying a house on their Siri or their Google, or searching for it, or being on Redfin or one of these other sites. And then it does track back to your house and who you are. And then it goes into all of these programs. So I just think with AI, and I'm not trying to, I think some people will take this as, they're going to lose their jobs, like at a title company or at an escrow or something like that. But I do see it cutting down on fraud, like what you said, and then being able to see the patterns of selling and where is a good place to go flip houses and all of that. Yeah. And just the transactions themselves. Like even with mortgages, when you go to get a mortgage, I mean, it's, those mortgage officers, they're having to like really search and go to each bank and, will this fit? There is a lot of work that goes into that. So I could see AI just making their life so much easier.
I think, the overall quality of any transaction will improve because it'll be a lot easier to do a complete job and present you all the information. And the other beautiful thing about like Chat GPT is you can feed it your information. So let's say you're looking at a series of properties or something, you can feed it the data and then ask it questions about the data that you actually fed it.
And that's what some people do with like their manuals, and they'll do the chats online, right? And for people to ask certain questions, they can just have AI answer a lot of the questions.
If it's something that I need to read a bunch of and I need to determine which one, I need to do a deep dive on, I can actually upload the document and say, give me a paragraph summarizing the document. Things to that effect.
Yeah.
Or, restate it if it's something that's difficult to read or poorly written or something like that.
Yeah.
Actually rephrase it for
you. And I could see that for especially people starting out in finance, that you've got these ETFs with these huge thick booklets, right, of their prospectus. And some people want to read all of that. When they're first starting out, they want to read a lot of that. I could absolutely see uploading that and saying, just give me the highlights of what's important. Because a lot of those prospectuses and like when you're getting an alternative alternative investments too. A lot of it is just copied,
Right.
from each one of disclosures of, this will go up and down and this is the market. And
what are their fees and how's their performance been for 10 years rather than having to
exactly.
Since there isn't any, I know that data has to be in there, but there isn't any standard as far as where it is in there. So things like that will be able to give you
what's
the
the
information.
expected return? Do the owners invest in it? What is the board of directors, how do they do things? Yeah, it's important things like that.
Yeah,
would be very, very interesting. So yeah, I'm very excited to see how this is going to speed things up. And then also, like, what are we going to create on top of it, right? So now that we have created this time of these transactions that we're not enjoying doing, right? Because the paperwork, and how is all the paperwork going to talk more? And then what? Yeah, exactly. What are we going to create on top of it?
But we've been at this for 40 years.
Yeah.
It's 40 years ago, it was rare that somebody had a computer on their own desk.
Yeah.
And now a lot of people probably have two or several. And so the access to that has just improved the information. So it's just continually walking up the access to information, what we can do with it, and the overall quality. It just winds up being more and more. But you can actually just track back whatever your thoughts are related to AI. You can just walk back that
to
thought
internet,
related to any technology.
Yeah.
Sure. 25 years ago, companies having a website was really rare. Now, you're kind of missing something if you don't have a website.
Right. You think it's fraudulent. Yeah,
it's rare that companies don't have a website.
Yeah.
So it becomes ubiquitous. And I think we're to the point right now when we look at AI, like, everybody's using it as a buzzword. It's like, we're doing this with AI and everything like that, to kind of be an also-ran, which is a little bit creating a bubble in the stock market.
That was kind of my next question, is the .com bubble and the AI bubble. Well, and medical marijuana was a bubble too.
Right.
And I kind of see more longer legs on this than medical marijuana, but what do you...
I agree. I think this is, it's a mushrooming trend right now. And, I was mentioning before we started, I saw an MIT article talking about the AI bubble and how bad it was from 2014 to 2019. So the article's 5 years old now, but it's the same thing. I think this is just it's another technology that's going to be ubiquitous. It's going to be everywhere. I think what is the bubble, though, are the companies just using it as a buzzword and not actually doing anything per se with it or improving their bottom line.
Right.
At the end of the day, it has to improve their bottom line. If somebody's a pet food manufacturer saying we're using AI, you might want to look at that with a little suspicion.
How are they really using it?
I'm sure there's some things that can be done in there, but how is it affecting their bottom line?
Yeah. Well, I'm talking more about the AI stocks that are literally AI, NVIDIA and that kind of stuff.
But even NVIDIA, Microsoft, AMD, they're all getting a boost.
Yeah, they're getting a huge boost. And so I guess I'm wondering how far that's going to go.
They've been at it for a while, and you got to ask, is the multiple worth it? And it's going to continue to oscillate and everything like that. I have concerns about a bubble from those specific companies. But then there's other ones like Adobe has been actually implementing AI.
Right. I've heard their new Photoshop is amazing. Yeah.
Some of the things that they're, taking a lot of these technologies like Midjourney and being able to do the backgrounds and things like that within Photoshop, or being able to edit the perspectives on videos back and forth and things
Isn't
like
that crazy?
It's just, they're really incorporating the technology, and it is
right.
what they're
but they're
doing.
not an AI company. So I guess I'm thinking about, the particular AI, like what you mentioned, the Microsoft and everything.
If I had to pick an industry that's probably going to really get some legs under it, it would be medical.
Yeah. With, oh my gosh, right? I mean, we could do another podcast on how AI would change the medical.
Right. So
but then you do need to have, we're going to have to talk about guardrails and stuff. And I don't think that that's kind of talked about. It will be, but you're going to be putting personal information into these things, and you're going to be, putting your financial information into things. Is it true information? Could people give it false information and then
that's
spit
a really
it back
good
out?
point.
Right? That kind of stuff.
Deep fakes of financial data.
Yeah, right.
I mean, that's very possible. But you got to look at the amount of data, for example, that Walmart's been collecting on everybody for decades.
Yeah.
It's allowing them to then internally use AI to go, all right, how should we handle product placement within the stores and things like that in order to optimize it? So when it comes to these things, you got to start looking at things with a critical eye and a degree of skepticism now that you actually know how these things work.
And that's where I think the human element really comes in, is because you can do, and that's when I first started out, is I was doing, lots of Excel spreadsheets. And the people that got in trouble with that were the ones that didn't go back and check their work, because then sometimes you're copying and pasting over it. And, you just always need to go back and check your work and make sure everything makes sense.
Yeah. This is no replacement for knowing what you're doing.
Right.
In my line of work, it's entirely based upon domain knowledge, actually understanding how the industry works that I'm actually working in. And then actually coming up with a vision and being able to craft a direction. The AI isn't going to do that for you. It might point you in a particular direction or give you broad strokes as to what possibilities are, but it's not going to craft that for you.
Right. But it could, maybe in the future, come up with ideas about,
We're in the early days of this.
Yeah.
It's like the early days of the World Wide Web. It's.
I love that you call it the World Wide Web. Why don't you just call it the internet?
Because I've been around too long. It's the I was using the internet before it was popular.
I know. I remember my first class. He's like, type it just like this, www. We were like, what? What are you talking about?
But it's just one. What you see in the way of web pages is just one aspect of the internet. Then there's Internet of Things. There's a million other things going on under this. Scenes there that just gets me excited all the time. This is just one more aspect of it, and how this is going to permeate everything from vehicles to.
I know. I'm so excited. I'm just so excited about the patterns and being able to pull it all together, and then what comes of that, because I just think as humans, we can't see patterns. We can't see, I love analyzing data and seeing it in different ways. And so I'm just so excited about having something that I feel like is reliable versus just, hey, I put this together, the spreadsheet, humans just make errors all the time. So
it's a tool for us, but as an investor, it's one of those things that I look for now is, how is the company actually, if I'm looking at a company or if I'm looking at an individual or what have you, how are they using these technologies? Are they doing something innovative with it? Are they actually moving forward, or are they being left behind? There's going to be companies and industries being left behind. So that's why I'm consuming the information or asking ChatGPT for the information as far as what industries could be left behind or what are some things that need to be identified when I'm going through the due diligence on something. It might be retail or
and that's what I think is great too. It's like, what am I forgetting? What parts of it that because we did one on the Fed, right? And I used ChatGPT to go in about different things. I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. And I forgot, so it brings up things that you wouldn't necessarily remember. And then you don't want to read 20 different websites to, figure it out. So it's good.
Or it'll bring up things that you think are common knowledge. I would say that's one of the greatest mistakes that I've made from a business standpoint is I just assume. I assume everybody's on the same page and everything like that. So it gives me those talking points where I can go, oh, I forgot about that. That's actually useful to know. Yeah,
I'm the same way about the financial stuff, because you do it for a while. And then it's with the first couple episodes, people are like, oh, I didn't know that. And I'm like, oh, and you don't realize that you're just talking it every day. So,
but, when it comes to actually using ChatGPT, I tell everybody just go to town on it.
Yeah.
Talk to it like you would a person,
Yeah.
conversational. It's like,
and you're just digging down into what you really need.
One of the things that I always do at the end is I say thank you to ChatGPT, just in case our robot overlords take over and everything. It's like historically they never save the polite ones, but I'm hoping at least the AI.
My husband laughs at me all the time because I always say thank you to Siri. I'm always like, thank you, Siri. And then she never says anything back.
Or ChatGPT actually
say
will.
thank you. Really?
You're welcome. Let me know if you need anything else.
I haven't said that. Oh, that's funny. I'll have to say thank you. I think because it's typing versus just talking. So yeah. Oh, interesting. Well, you have anything else to add? I feel like we've talked about a lot of, I mean, it's not that we know any of these. It's just more of our brainstorming.
Talked around it. It really isn't anything new. It's just right now in the popular culture. Like ChatGPT, it's actually the current one that you pay for is version 4. Version 3 came out in 2015.
Yeah, it's been around a while.
Licensed by Microsoft, or might have been actually version 3 was 2020, but OpenAI has been around since 2015.
And are there different? I mean, so ChatGPT is the one right now, but are there different bots that we could use?
It's like Kleenex, It's like everybody calls the tissues Kleenex, or something like that. It's more of the public face. But there's a ton of them out there. There's a website I use called futuretools.io, I think it is, and he's adding AI tools to that every day.
Yeah. There's different travel AI tool. I mean, there's
hundreds of them.
You get on Twitter. I mean, there are people putting together lists every day of 50 different things that you could use. Yeah.
And look around for them and have fun with them. They are interesting and they are fun, and go down a deep dive into areas that, you might not go. Again, I have a lot of fun with the art ones.
Yeah.
So
I had a lot of fun with the travel, with booking some travel. And so I used one of the tools that they recommended on Twitter. So I think this is going to make our life easier.
Yeah, and the only other thing that I had was, just consideration of industries that are either going to be on the rise or the fall, but are really going to be, in the very short term, I would say in the next year or two, really affected by this. And that really is like, I mentioned Chegg. It was a company that is in the training space, and they're the first one that I saw that actually said that AI has been materially affecting their business, and their stock dropped like 40% as soon as they made that announcement. Because if they are in a commoditized space, it's going to be tough.
Absolutely.
If it's one that's got a guided missile of AI straight at it, and you can't actually evolve and use the
and use
the
it for
technology to improve. If you can be replaced by it, be careful. So marketing, training, any sort of documentation.
Yeah, that's the kind of stuff that I feel like people don't enjoy doing. It's very tedious, and that's what I'm excited about AI is it's going to take away a lot of these tedious emails, these tedious customer service thing. The training, maybe make it a little bit more exciting with some art and and visuals and things that don't take so long to put together because we're not having to sit down and put together a PowerPoint. Yeah. But
as you said before, like a lot of people or some people are actually afraid of this, but it's just the next iteration.
Yeah.
And you can actually resist it and go, well, I'm not going to get on board with this AI thing, but that goes all the way back to like the Amish. And
I mean, you can do that, but then the next time you're on Amazon, you're going to be using AI. So that's just the way it is.
It becomes ubiquitous. The next thing you know, it's not even around you, or you don't really even think about it. And that it is prevalent because it has been around for a while. Like you said, the suggestions that Amazon makes and everything.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, I don't have to wait for anybody. Half the time it can answer my question. So I just think it makes our life a whole lot easier, and we're not having to, what we're having a problem with right now in our country is that, I should say the fight that you hear online is that the lower echelon of people, or I should get of payments, or I should say salaries, they're not getting paid enough. And so if we can replace some of this with AI and then get some people trained on other things, that would be much better.
Or allow them to do more work or what have you within
that companies,
job.
that companies find more valuable
and get more value, and of course, pay them more.
Exactly, and of course, pay them more.
Is the case.
Exactly. Yes, that's what we hope comes from a lot of this. So, well, Andy, thanks so much for being on again.
It's fun as always.
Yeah, it's a good time talking, especially about this. I love this topic. I can't wait to see where it goes. So,
for sure.
Thank you, everyone, for listening. Remember to subscribe, leave a review, and let me know if you have any questions. And thank you so much for listening again. Bye-bye.